set, but Alberta ain't ready to kneel just yet. They chose their king, their power was met, but we don't answer to Ottawa yet. No crown gave us what we've earned, just dirt and fire and lessons learned. Now the ground it shakes, the steel it groans, and Alberta walks alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free. From the rigs to the rails, the crops to the code, we lit their streets, we bore their load. They laughed at pride, they mocked the West, but freedom don't die, it just waits for the test. The cowboys ride, the farmers rise, 5 million strong under open skies. No leash, no lie, no foreign throne. This land is steel and it stands alone. We ride sovereign steel through fire, through frost. We ain't the last, we're the line they lost. Alberta stands, never on its knees. A nation born in the forge of the free.
Welcome. It's 7-Eleven Daily Summary. It's Bruchel, and I'm excited as usual to be here because we are getting some great information and waking up those sleepy Canadians. So thanks for joining me. Make sure to share this out. Get some eyeballs on this information. You got to send it out to your social media. Send it out to your friends and relatives so that we can wake them all up. All right. So as I said to you, I am very excited to be here as usual. I am so grateful that you're joining me on this journey to freedom. And we're going to continue to do this on a daily basis as much as possible. So thanks very much for being here, and make sure to let everybody know, because we are shadow banned, it seems like, on every platform that we get out onto, but lots of good information. Last night I had the retired NYPD Lieutenant John McCary. It was fantastic to talk to him and find out what the heck is going on in New York City. And tonight I have a very different guest. I'm excited to have her. This is the second time that I'm having her, and she is my favorite farmer. It is awesome to have Dawn from Dawn's Dirts podcast joining me. You will be blown away, and just one of those other pieces to the puzzle that you got to have in place. And we're going to be talking about a bunch of those tonight. So, gather around the old radio, turn it up really loud so you get all this good information. And we're going to get down to it in a bit here. But I always want to start off by saying thank you to God for giving me this opportunity. Thank you for my circle of influence. And the last 5 years has really shaped Unscrew the News and myself into this mechanism, hopefully, for documenting stories and helping to get information out. But I appreciate friends and family that have also shaped me into the person that I am. On top of that, I want to say thank you to nuggetstacker.com, a local business right here in Calgary. You can buy gold and silver. It doesn't matter, anywhere in Canada. They will ship it to your door. And I am not your investment advisor, but I do suggest holding gold and silver in your hand. Do not hold those paper contracts, because they will not help you. And gold and silver, definitely important to have a gold and silver subscription with Nugget Stacker. Great way to start. Go right to my website, unscrewthenews.com, click on the link for Nugget Stacker, and they will help you through that process. You can also give them a call. Great guy to do business with. Give them a call at 1-866-644-2121 and let him know that Bruce sent you, and he'll make sure to take care of you and your family. Protect your family by having gold and silver. All right, we're going to get into unscrewing some news here. And I come to you from the heart of the battle-ready nation of Alberta, and we bring you truth and optimism. Our goal is to break free from the media globalist mind control. It is November 21, 2025. This is episode 224. This is called Dawn's Dirt, specifically for Dawn and her dirt show. I want to welcome Dawn to the stage here at Unscrew the News. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a background on Dawn here. Let me pull it up. Dawn's Dirt is a brand name and an online handle for Dawn, a seasoned homesteading coach, former vegetable farmer, and podcast host based in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. With over 40 years of farming experience, she specializes in helping aspiring homesteaders and small-scale farmers turn passions into profitable ventures, aiming to generate $10,000 to $100,000 per season through practical strategies like backyard gardening, sustainable practices, and market gardening. Her approach emphasizes getting your hands dirty to achieve food freedom, self-sufficiency, and breaking away from reliance on grocery store chains. Thank you for joining me, Dawn.
You're welcome. Thanks so much for having me. And I just want to say, you were chatting about gold and silver, and if the time ever comes, I will trade a chicken for a silver coin. So, yeah.
Well, we will definitely be doing some silver and gold trading, I'm sure, at some point. I don't want it to be at that point, but you know what? The way that things are going, there is no doubt in my mind that we'll be at that point at some stage. Anyway, it's a interesting time. I always say it's an extraordinary time to be alive, and I'm really grateful that I'm here with people like you, and I've been able to really arm myself. I've been able to pull this circle of amazing people together, and I'm really grateful for it. So thanks for being here and sharing your wisdom with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for having me. And yeah, I have to say, I do hope you're wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong. I hope we're all wrong. I hope that we can just put our heads back in the sand and think that la-di-da, everything's just fine and dandy, like it was in the, several years ago when we were just all oblivious to it all.
Well, you know what? You just touched on something I was not even thinking to bring up, but we should hope to put our heads in the sand like those poor ostriches, and I think that sort of kicks off a bit of what you and I want to talk about. Is the ostriches in I think it was Edgewater, BC. I think it was the name of the area. And in case you're not aware, I'm just going to give our audience just a quick rundown. But 300 and some odd ostriches that could live up to 70 years, from what I understand, on a farm. There was potentially an H5N1 outbreak. They lived through it. A few passed away, but CFIA, the tyrannical, out of control Canadian Food Inspection Agency, decided that they couldn't even test them. And I'm sure you saw this all over the news, but in case you've been having your head in the sand, they murdered them anyway, despite many legal challenges. And to me, it seems, Dawn, and I know that you're probably on the same wavelength, but I do want to quickly touch on it, because it seems like this is the test bed for what's to come from the Canadian government and the CFIA. What are your thoughts on that?
He who controls the food controls the people.
Right.
So I've been calling our food system out for years. Canadian Food Inspection Agency, they're the ones that keep us quote unquote safe from our food.
Mm-hmm.
And parts of it do make sense. If you've got food going right across Canada, you want some checks and balances in place.
Correct.
But this ostrich thing was completely unnecessary and just a showcase of power and control. and they were there to puff out their chests and go, I'm right, you're wrong, and this is the way it's going to be. Those ostriches, they had immune systems. They built antibodies, in my opinion. And if you have a flock of birds, so Joel Salatin is actually a good farmer down in the States, and he I heard him on a podcast one day talk about bird flu, and he said if bird flu comes around, what you're going to want to do is just see what happens, right? So some of those birds will live, and those ones are your strongest birds with your strongest genetics, and let them procreate and carry on, right? So it just boggles my mind that they killed off healthy animals and potential research data, something. I mean, I know they weren't for food, but it just boggles my mind from a farming perspective why they did that. It was stupidity. I'm sorry. Stupidity
No,
and
no,
power control.
no. You're absolutely right. I don't think that the word is stupidity. I think that they actually this is a planned obsolescence of our food. I mean, we've seen it the last few years where there's chicken farms that, oh, magically they all burned down and killed thousands and thousands of chickens. I'm sure that we're having that happen here in Canada as well. I know that there's been plants that have gone up. I know that there's been other culls of chickens and other birds around the country. I don't have them off the top of my head, but what I see is exactly what you said: is if they control the food, they can control the people, and them them not allowing any testing of the birds and just coming in and controlling it, putting them into a pen, murdering. And people say a cult. I'm like, this is freaking murder. They murdered birds, these pets, basically, of these people. It was not pleasant at all. But I can see them doing the same thing because I know that you and I have probably talked about this before. Is killing off herds of cattle or pigs because someone just deems it dangerous to the food supply. But sorry, do you have anything else to say about that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, we live in Alberta here, and I think it would not go over as well with farmers in Alberta. Like, I know farmers that would go out guns a-blazing
Mhm,
if
mhm.
the government comes in and tries to kill off animals. BSC, do you remember BSC?
Yeah, for sure I
Back
do.
in
Yep.
I was almost in high school or just graduated, something like that.
Mhm,
We had BSC in Alberta here. And I think what that taught a lot of farmers is the words shoot, shovel, and shut up. And that's where it's at now. We
yeah.
we the people need to just do a little bit more of that. Yeah, yes, I'm out here being public, but I'm being public because I no longer have a farm behind. Like, I've got some chickens and stuff, but I no longer have a farm that I'm trying to protect. But when I did have my farm, I told the neighbor who had a large chicken farm, I said, you know what? And I said this to him. He didn't say it back to me, but I said it to him. I said, if something ever went down with my birds, the very first phone call I would make would not be to CFIA. It would
Mhm,
not be to a government regulatory body. It would be to my farmer neighbor. And I would
mhm,
say, what would you like me to do?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We the people
Well,
have the power to change this. We
well, you know
don't
what?
need our governments. That's where I'm at. We don't need our governments. We the people have the power to change the system.
That's what
We just
it's
got to do it.
that's what it's coming down to, Don, is that we need to reduce governments to minimal, and I'm sure that you're with me on this. Is that we've been getting the raw end of the stick here from Ottawa for 120 years, and there is nothing changing. I think that our premier is making the correct steps, but
Let's try.
there, yeah, I think she's trying, but I do think that there has to be a point where you say, okay, that's it. I'm finished. We're out, and we're not asking for permission. We're out. We're just leaving, and you can put up all the roadblocks you like to, but we're still not staying, and you're not getting another penny, or you're not getting another cubic meter of gas or LNG, or none of it until we have some sort of negotiation.
Yeah, and for me, it's not about any of the governments really. Like, I
Hmm.
don't care, Ottawa, even Danielle Smith, I like her better. She's the best choice in my opinion. But again, we the people don't need the government. That's the point, is they
Yeah.
think that we need the government, but we don't. We need to take our own lives into our own hands and create our own systems. That's where it's at.
Sorry, this is not the subjects that I wanted to get into, but it's a perfectly timed exactly what we need to be talking about. Um, so your community, when you are a farmer and where you live, I'm a bit envious because really you
Mm.
do uh, you help each other, right? I mean, you talked about just having chickens or your neighbor having chickens or whatever the case is, but you take care of each other. You're not worried about whether the RCMP are going to come out. You're not worried about whether Ottawa is going to come and give you a handout. You're not worried about Danielle Smith and whether she's going to put the right policies into place for your fencing or your farm or whatever the case is. Like, none of that really matters when you have a community.
Yes, I mean the bigger farmers. So there are bigger farmers that are still involved in politics very much, but that's what's happened with our farming and agriculture is the little farmers are being pushed out. So even me with my 36,000 square foot greenhouse, and I grew 20 acres of garden, and I mean in 2020 I sold 1.5 million dollars worth of food off my farm.
Hmm.
So I was a medium-sized farm, but I didn't make it. I had to sell because the dollars and cents didn't tick tactician out anymore. And I've been calling out our food system for probably at least 10 years now, saying that like the big farms are going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And then you're going to be left with big farms, big grocery stores, big government, and that's your food system. And to me, that's not okay. And I sometimes feel like the little boy that cries wolf because I've been saying it for years. Buy
Right.
from your farmer, know your farmer. During COVID, I had people literally coming up to me in tears. You have food, right? Yes, I've got food. And I didn't care if they weren't vaccinated. I said,
Right.
come to my farm and I will feed you. And I guess here I am now, 2 years later after selling the farm, and I can't feed people. I can only take care of myself and my family. But
Hmm.
I'm teaching people now how to look after themselves because that is more important at this point.
Hmm. It's the most critical is the skill versus the that old adage of give a man a fish, you feed him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you're good. You're good. Um,
Yes.
Going back to the controlling of the food, I wanted to touch on, you were talking about big ag, big grocery, big government, and one of the areas that I mentioned to you that I wanted to sort of touch on is this, because it does feel like this is the rolling of the steamroller, and not necessarily in our province, because I think that be able to cajole enough of the conservative sort of movement away from this socialist uh, nanny state that the rest of the country seems to be going into. Is that I feel that this is the liberal mindset, is that we need to take care of you. Sorry, around the children and the school lunch program, or whatever that program that they're talking about, making sure that our kids are fed. And of course, if you question it, then you're some sort of bigot and some sort of non-foodist for
Well,
the children.
might I add, they're feeding them shit. It's not
Oh, of course
food.
it is.
It's shit from a package. It's not
Yeah.
real food.
No,
Okay.
of course it's going to be some Duncan Durus or whatever that bullshit is that they want to feed them. Yeah, but the problem is that they want to take control, and the morons will continue to say, "Oh yes, please, give us more, give us UBI so that we can have this universal basic income, and then please take over the grocery stores because Jagmeet Singh, continued to scream from the mountaintops that the Loblaws of the world were gouging the customers over and over again. I said that's exactly the message, that they're going to take over the grocery stores, and then watch out.
Yes, because then if you don't comply to the whatever bureaucracy that comes down the pipe, then you're suddenly not allowed to get into the grocery store. And what's going to happen then is you're going to go, oh, well, I bought from that one farmer 6 years ago. I'm going to go to Farmer Joe that I bought from one time 6 years ago, and I'm going to go to Farmer Joe and get my food. And Farmer Joe's going to be like, I don't know you. I'm feeding all of these people that have been buying me from me for the last 6 years. So
Yeah.
go away,
Or
because there's
or
not
Farmer
enough to
Joe's
go
broke.
around.
Or Farmer Joe's
Or
broke
Farmer Joe's
because
broke.
yeah,
Look at
because
me.
yes.
I'm not in the industry. I can't feed thousands of people anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I get very passionate about this.
Well, no, don't be sorry, because this is the message that we need to get across, is that our food system, as you've been crying, is in danger. And people don't realize that just going to Superstore, just going to Walmart, getting the cheapest price is not the best course of action.
Nope.
Okay, so now we've
It-
laid out some of
it-
the problems. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
It actually boggles my mind in some ways when freedom people say we still shop at the grocery store. And I'm like, what? Like, what are you talking about? Why are you still filling your shopping cart? And I mean, I go get some shit from the grocery store too still. But like, I know that if I had no access to a grocery store in town tomorrow, I have enough food in my house to last me and my children for the till spring. And I also know that I have chickens and I have seeds that I can plant a garden. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can feed my children for years to come if I had to. And I'm on a half an acre. You
Right.
can do that in town too. You don't need to have a farm. They've glorified homesteading. It's not even about that. It's about what can you do in the space you have, and be prepared now. Because when shit hits the fan, it's too late. It's too late.
I mean, we've seen it in the past. And so one of my complaints, and one of the things that I continue to scream about, is that if you don't know history, you tend to repeat it. And a lot of people don't realize is that when they start to talk about taking away your guns, and they take away your rights, and they take away they censor you because you're not allowed to say things like you and I probably are. I know that I'm being shadow banned every time that I say, that the government sucks, that I'm in trouble. Um, but when they start to do those things, they will also be looking to take away your little farm. They'll be looking to take away your garden, because this has happened in the past. Mao for one would have done that. Stalin, I believe, did that as well. Is that they took away the gardens because it was more of a communal thing where everybody had to share, and you're not allowed to have your own little piece of property. Hey, did you happen to see that the federal government is talking about a tax if you have extra rooms in your house?
No, but it doesn't surprise me. They just if you have it, they want it. That's the thing. The government's so selfish. It's disgusting. So that's where I'm at. Is I
Yeah.
don't live in fear though. And that's where I'm talking. We the people have the power to be the change right now. So the more
Mhm.
of us, so I don't care if you live in an apartment building in a city someplace, or if you live in the countryside, or if you have a quarter section, or if you have a backyard in town. It does not matter where you live. You should be growing something now, because the more of us that do this, and the more of us that do, raw dairy or meat or chickens or eggs or garden or vegetables or whatever it might be, we actually have the power within our communities to change the food system. So the less we go to the grocery store,
Mhm.
the less profits those grocery stores are going to make, and the more the farmers, even the bigger farmers, are going to have to get creative in how to sell farm to table again, right?
Mhm.
we
Mhm.
we we can change our food system. We just got to do it, and now is the time to do it, because later on it's too late.
Okay, so
I,
we are approaching winter right now, Dawn. So
yes.
what are your thoughts? What do you do at this point in the season? Do you set up a little bit of a I don't know. Can you do a greenhouse at this time of the year, or do you no? You just get prepared for spring.
Don't waste your money. So
Yeah.
unless you have grow lights, we're in Alberta. We're in the northern hemisphere. We just don't have enough sunshine. Even if you could heat that bad boy, which is going to cost you an arm and a leg, don't bother. So the best thing to do is eat seasonally, right? So if you plant your garden in the spring and you get potatoes, carrots, onions, beets, squash can last right through the winter. So you'll have food right through the winter. So that's the thing. It's about eating seasonally and eating what your body even craves. In the wintertime, you're wanting more soups, stews, chilies, things like that. Now, having said that, I do have a grow light and a little grow up in my porch. So I've got lettuce and I got greens, but yeah, like it's just doing what you can in the space you have. Can I go back to what you were saying about Jagmeet Singh and
Yeah.
the socialist program that they want?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a very good friend. She's a friend of mine. I love people that are different than me. I have left-wing friends that I love and adore and respect. But we just don't agree. And we argue all the time, but it's out of like love and respect. So she was a candidate in our area and she's my friend. And she was messaging me one day and she said, Dawn, how can we get cheaper foods? Well, and she thought that I'd be all over this idea. She said, well, the government should take over the grocery stores. And I said, the government has no business.
Really?
Yeah. So the government has no business taking over a grocery store. She said, well, we'll do it not for profit. And I said, it will be more expensive to run because governments don't know how to run grocery stores and grocery stores already know how to run grocery stores. So it's going to go up in price regardless. And I said, besides that, he who controls the food controls the people. So that is a very, very, very terrible idea. And she said to me, well, Dawn, because I'm a very creative woman, right? I'm a very think outside the box. How do we fix things? I'm all about helping your neighbor. Grow too many zucchini so that you can give them to your neighbor. That's how we're going to fix our food system. But anyways, she said, well, how can we make things cheaper? And you know what I said to her? I said, I've got an idea. Let's put everybody in a big city and let's build a wall around it. And let's have a massive, 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 massive greenhouse, massive chicken farmer, massive dairy farmer, massive pig farmer, massive vegetable farmer right outside the walls of the city. And that food on a large industrial scale, massive, large industrial scale, will feed the city. And we will not have a local small farmer left. So that's how we're going to do it. We're going to put people into cities and feed them that way out of the industrial food system. And she was like, oh, because she really likes small business. That's the thing. A lot of NDP people really like small business. And she's like, oh. And I'm like,
Because
it's
she
not going to
really
work.
likes small business.
Yeah, like that's your choice. If you want cheap food for people, put people in cities. And I said, even on top of that, it's going to fix your climate change problem, which I don't believe in climate change. I believe the Lord is in control of the weather, and our government, or there's people spraying shit in the sky. I'm fairly certain. I'm not totally 10,000% sold on it, but I'm fairly certain. And weather manipulation and things like that. So I said to her, I said, on top of it, it would fix your climate change because those big industrial farms are more, what's the word? When you're like sustainable, like more climate bullshit, whatever. It's just better for the environment. They're
Yes.
more efficient. They're more efficient. And we're not trucking food from anywhere, down in the States or Mexico or anything like that. So I said, that will fix our food system.
That'll fix our food supply. Okay,
She's like,
just
oh.
for fun, I got to show this. Hang on one second. I think I've got it here. Oh, check out this is pig production in China. These pig skyscrapers. This is what you want to do to make it very inexpensive. Miss NDP person here. These lovely.
Could you text me that picture later? Because I want to text it to her. I want to say this is the solution to our food system. This is how we're going to make food cheaper.
Yeah, this is lovely, right?
Let's pattern our food system off of China, and everyone will eat. again, I've been to Cuba enough times, and I love Cuba. The reason I love Cuba is different than what most people would think, but I've been to Cuba enough times. They've got a thriving black market there,
Sure, they
because
do.
they all have to. You have to have a side business in order to survive, because the government handouts are not enough to even sustain you, to keep you alive. That's what communism is.
Well, and anybody that was thinking about UBI, if you're on here, you're probably not thinking about it, but you can tell all your friends that love the idea of universal basic income. It will completely crush uh, the economy, and you know what? I can get into it another day, but no,
The small
no,
farmer.
no. Yeah, everybody.
It'll squish everybody and squish the small farmer. Absolutely. Like
Yeah.
well, but here's
Small
the thing.
business. I
So
mean, how
small
could you get
business.
anybody to work? Nobody
No,
wants to
no,
work if they're getting
no,
UBI.
no, no. It'll decimate society. Except that here's the thing. If you're smart, you are preparing now. Not everyone should be a farmer, but everyone should be a producer. So what do
Mhm.
you have that you can produce to contribute to, if we ever had to get
The
into the black
community,
market,
right?
you know? So I've got food. I can produce food. I know I can produce food, and I can produce a lot of food, and I can produce more food if I had to. So food is my tradable skill set, right? But there is other people, a nurse might even have a skill set. She could probably stitch a wound if you had to. So you could trade
Mhm.
off a chicken for some stitches, right? So we need to be thinking about these systems and being creative now so that we have them in place. That's what I keep saying. We, the people, can be the power to change this, but let's do it now, because later is too late. And the more of us that do this now, and that's what boggles my mind again. People are still going to the grocery store. They're still doing the same habits. And people that, I'm going to say something bold here, but if you scream freedom, 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 and are doing nothing to change your circumstances, to be able to barter and trade and change society and change the way you shop and change the way you live and change who you talk to, change your communities. And if you don't have a garden in your backyard, you're just all talk and no action. That's a very bold statement. Sorry, but I think
No,
that's the
very
truth.
okay. I want to share this because this has come up recently. But a great thing, we were just talking about it. But here's another way. It's called Barter It, and it's an online
Yes,
thing that you can change. So you can swap whatever it is with somebody that wants to swap whatever they've got.
yes.
Anyway, just
I'm
another idea.
just so your listeners know, I'm on Barter Pay, which is the same platform, same thing. It's just for businesses, so you can get my coaching program on Barter Pay, actually,
Oh,
if you're
okay.
interested. But yeah,
Awesome. Oh, that's
yeah,
great. Good to know.
yeah, for sure.
Um, I wanted to talk about well, we talked about now you know what we haven't talked about,
What's that?
because we can maybe talk about growing a bit more, but I wanted to ask you about the cloned meat idea, and I did pull up an article here. I'm just going to show this one from the food processor on X. And because we've all been talking about it, I'm sure. But cloned meats, Health Canada had decided that they were going to just go ahead and put cloned meat into our grocery stores without any special um, signs, any special insignias telling you that it was cloned meat. Anyway, so after significant pushback from consumers and industry, Ottawa stepping back to allow more time for discussion. Yeah, right. We don't want any more discussion. We don't want clone animals. And for now, any
Yes,
clone animal food products must still go through the full novel food assessment, and none are approved for sale in Canada. This
yes,
pause raises big questions about transparency, public trust, and why the file advanced so quickly in the first place. And I just want to make sure that everybody can see this. Department has therefore indefinitely paused the policy update to provide time for further discussions and considerations. Actually, I'm going to fix that and say there was no discussions or considerations. So now they will go back to the drawing board and see if they can push that through a different way, I'm sure. Go ahead, Don.
yes. So something I found really interesting. So I had a post go viral. Over 500,000 people have viewed that post. Even Michelle Ferrier, she even shared it on her stories, which I was like, whoa, like, so I was calling out the food system. But anyways, I had even farmers messaging me and asking me, what is this? Like, what even is this? And so to the best of my knowledge, since I've researched it a little bit more, is like farmers have been using AI. So when I think of the word the letters AI, I think of artificial insemination. I don't actually think of like the things you do on a computer. Like every
Sure,
farm
sure.
kid thinks artificial insemination. They
Yeah.
have been doing embryo transplants. So what they'll do is they'll, on a dairy cow, let's say, they will give her some medication to get her to have more eggs release. No different than you would in like with
Sure,
people
of
in
course.
fertility issues.
Yeah.
So drugs to give her more eggs. Then they'll put the bull on her, and they'll do their thing with male semen and female eggs. They will make an embryo, and then from there they will take those embryos and then they will implant them into another cow or heifer or whatever. So that is embryo transplants. I actually have no issue with all of those things because you are still taking male and
Yes.
you are taking female, you are putting them together and you're making a baby.
Well,
What
God put
stem
them together,
cell
right? Yeah.
well, right, he's the
Yeah.
giver of life.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It starts in the womb. We believe the same thing. So, but I swear sometimes, but I love Jesus.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, so what this cloning thing is where they take a female egg and then they take tissue. So not the boy parts, they take
Mm,
tissue and they put it in the egg. And I'm like, for what purpose? For what
right.
purpose? Like why? Like never mind the health and it may or may not be good for it. I don't even care. Why? What
Mm,
is the purpose of this? Like just take your best stock. Don't kill them off like the ostriches, but just take your best stock and breed. It's called
right.
selective breeding. Like make good breeding programs. Don't tamper with nature and what the Lord has created. Like at what point are we trying to play God?
Well,
That's
you
where it's
know what
at.
it's about, and we've already talked about it before. It's control. So if you can control the food, and if you can control the mechanism, so then they eliminate the natural process and say, "Oh, this is a much better process. We have chances to make sure that there's no sickness or viruses or bacteria or whatever the case is." They're going to make
Can't
a
control
they're going to
nature.
make an example. Yeah, but they're going to use that as a mechanism to say you can't do the normal transfer of fluids because that's not healthy. So we have to do it this way, and that's the only way. So here's another thing I wanted to share that it will blow your mind. Brookfield is Canada's largest alternative asset manager. In 2022, it bought 49% of Transova Genetics, a cattle cloning company, for $250 million. Imagine that.
And that's our prime minister, people.
Yes,
That's
that's
disgusting. That's disgusting.
Brookfield. Brookfield. Brookfield.
That's
Brookfield.
evilness right
Our
there.
country will be called Brookfield here very shortly, I'm sure. It will no longer be Canada. It will be Canada Brookfield or Brookfield Canada.
It's disgusting. But
Yeah.
this is again like when I had my farm, when I had my big vegetable farm, I actually only had female chickens. So I'd buy my hens in the spring and I would sell them off in the fall and I didn't have roosters. And then when I moved off the farm, and when I told you this before we got on air here, I told you the story of when I sold my farm, I was looking at moving into town. And my biggest concern moving into town is how big of a garden can I grow in the backyard and where can I hide my chickens? Those were the only two things that I cared about.
Yeah.
And now I've got some chickens in my backyard here and I keep some roosters now. And the reason I do that is because I could make babies if I need to. Boys and girls make babies.
Well,
And so I can make
yeah, and
babies
then you can
and
control it,
reproduce if
right?
I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Fantastic.
So it's kind of I thought about briefly getting rid of all my animals this fall, and I forget what happened. Oh, it was the ostrich thing, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm going to keep some animals over the winter because I do not trust the system after 2020, the toilet paper wars, seeing it all, the vaccine, blah blah.
Mm,
I do not trust the system. I trust myself
mm.
and my community.
Do you want to talk a little bit about Don's Dirt? What
Yeah.
what do you talk about on your podcast?
Yeah, so I interview farmers, or I interview different like homestead people, or a lot of farmers. I like to talk about farmers. I like to talk about this kind of stuff on my podcast for sure. I like to talk about, the prepping and that side of it. I teach people right now. So my coaching side of my business is I've got two programs to it. So I teach people, just like yourself or just like anyone listening. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I can teach you because all my coaching is online. So I teach you how to grow gardens in the spaces you have. So my clients, if you go to Dawn's Dirt on Instagram or Facebook, you can get to my link tree and you can see client testimonials and stuff. But I teach people how to get food and grow food. And then I also teach. Just recently, I started farm to table sales. And so we need more small farmers selling direct to consumer, cutting out the grocery stores, just like we've talked about. And so
Mhm.
I teach people how to do that. So after I sold my farm, when I had my farm, 2020, I did $2.5 million in sales. I had two farm to table grocery stores. I had a farmer's market that I ran, plus I had my farm. Sold it all in 2023, 2024. And I was like, what am I going to do with myself? So I started coaching. And this year, and then I took my first job. This is a little side note. I took my first job in 20 years and I worked for a farm store and I got fired. So I'm too much. I'm too big of a personality. I call bullshit out anywhere I go. Got
Yeah.
fired. And so this summer I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I got 150 laying hens and I got meat chickens, and I've been selling. I did about $25,000 worth of farm to table sales on chickens and eggs this summer. And so that's the thing. I'm on half an acre of land and I've
Mhm.
got gardens. Like I've got vegetables for myself, and you don't need a lot of space to do it. I know people that were growing gardens in Calgary and making a living off of it, just off of a couple backyards. And so
Mm.
you can do this, and I empower people to do it and I teach them how to do it.
Awesome. That's amazing. So the skills, and you mentioned it before, and I think we touched on it together, is really is arming yourself with knowledge and having skills that that can be transferred or to make yourself useful, right? To your community, to your family, to your neighbors, whatever the case is. And one of the things, Dawn, and I know that you're that kind of a personality, but you know all of your neighbors. I personally, I live in a suburb of Calgary, and I know all my neighbors. I know them well, and I foster those relationships because it's really important to have those people when shit hits the fan, right? It's
Mhm.
it's it's important to have a network of people, and you have to work at it, right? I mean, you can't just, like you said, I mean, your example of going to the farmer after 6 years of never seeing that farmer again, and you expect that you're going to be able to buy something from him. Well, first of all, he might not be there. Second of all, he's got other people to take care of, so you didn't foster that relationship, unfortunately, and he's going to be maybe not looking at you first.
Yeah. And that's where it's going to be at, because if we get into full anarchy, and again, we're kind of we're going down some holes, and I look down the rabbit holes. I don't live in fear. I do not live in fear. I
Mhm.
live in looking what's ahead. And I just think, if I'm wrong, which hopefully I'm wrong, I said that at the beginning of the show. If I'm wrong, I still have chickens and I still have some goats and I
Yes.
still have my garden. So
Yes.
it's
Well, you're not
it's
worse
it's
for
still
wear,
a good
right?
thing.
Yeah, you
No.
haven't done anything. You haven't done anything that burns a bridge. So
And in 2026, get in touch with me, Dawn's Dirt. In 2026, grow a garden, because yes, we've got food inflation. Yes, we've got problems with our grocery stores. Yes, your dollar's not going as far as it used to. You want to know how to save some money? You take a package of seeds. So this is a package of seeds, $2, $3, $4 from a store. You take this package of seeds, you put it in the ground, and a couple of seeds are going to make you a couple of pumpkins. And so you're going to take your, package of seeds. This package of seeds would probably honestly turn into like 50, 60, 70, 80 pumpkins.
really,
And that's, even 20 pumpkins at $5 a piece if you were to buy it at the grocery store from a $2 package of seeds. So you want to save money, grow something in your backyard.
hmm
I did a post actually the other day. They were all worried in the States. This is American politics, but they were all worried that they shut down those little credit cards that they had. They had the little
EBT.
credit cards that they were putting their money on. What are they called again?
EBT. It was EBT. It was like basically the food stamps, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the government didn't give you money, and I'm like, why are you relying on the government for your food when you can take seeds, put them in the ground, and you could do this yourself? Even if you live in an apartment building. I was talking to a girl, and she lives in an apartment building in Calgary. She said one year she had so many beans she didn't even know what to do with them. She threw them out because she had too many beans on her balcony in an apartment building. So can you imagine if the whole balcony or the whole apartment building grew what they can in the balconies that they can? Like,
Yeah.
you got food for a couple months for your whole apartment building.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, this is another tragedy, and this goes back to the UBI. Is that 43 million? They said 43 million people were dependent on EBT or food stamps in the United States. I would say a lot of those, if not half of them, were obviously taking advantage of the system that gave them free money. I think that that's a big part of it. But I mean, it is really a tragedy to say that we're dependent, just like the food program that the Liberals are talking about for our children at school. Come on. I mean, if you have a neighbor, if you know your neighbors, here we are going back to knowing your neighbors. If you know your neighbors and someone's not doing well, you help them out. That's how we work, and we get rid of government altogether.
That's what good human beings do. I am hard pressed to walk past someone at a Tim Hortons drive-through that says that they're hungry for food. I will say, come on in, I'll meet you inside and I will get you something for food. Now, they don't always take me up on it, but even when I had the farm, like this is one of the things I miss the most about the farm is I had one woman, she would come to me every week and she brought her bag of food bank items. So it was Kraft Dinner, toothpaste, and rice. And she would trade me her food bank bag of junk, and I would trade her for a big bag of vegetables.
Oh, wow.
Was it a fair trade? No. But was it the trade that the Lord, see, and I'm getting all tingly because that's the Holy Spirit. The Lord said, do it. If they're hungry, you feed them. And so churches, if you believe in Jesus and we should be feeding the people. Never mind this going to a church and asking for formula and getting told we only give it to the people that go to the church. That's nonsense. Like the people can be the power to change the world if we just look after our communities, look after one another.
Amen, Dawn. Amen.
Yeah.
This has been awesome. Pleasure talking to you. We'll have to do this again.
Thank you.
Because the time has gone too quickly.
Yeah.
But is there anything else that you want to end off? You have your wealth of knowledge. People should be looking you up on Dawn's Dirt. I've pulled up, and I'm going to show it again here. Let's see here. Back to this podcast. Is the YouTube. Yeah, this is the YouTube channel that you've got, and the link tree right in here gives you a bunch of other links. So if you're looking to get a hold of Dawn, if you want to find out more information, go to the link tree. You can go to the YouTube. I'm going to have the links on the videos that I'm posting here, so you'll be able to find them through there as well. And is there anything else that you want to say just before we end off?
Well, I do want to say, honestly, if you want to help me out, if you're listening and you want to help me out and it's going to cost you no money, just hit the subscribe button on Dawn's Dirt on YouTube. That would help me out significantly right there. Because that'll hopefully allow me to keep going on.
There we are.
I love it. Thank you. I love it. Thank you. So do that. Exactly that. It took you 3 seconds to subscribe. And it cost me
3 seconds. There you go. Okay. We can help each other out.
For sure, exactly. And that's just it. We the people have the power to change. If I can say anything, we the people have the power to change. We just have to make changes within ourselves and within the way we do things. And if you believe in freedom, and if you don't believe in our government and don't trust our government, just start making changes now and taking things into your own hands now. And I'm not saying go break the law. I'm just saying there's a lot of things. There's a lot of gray. You can do a lot of things. Within the systems that we already have in place, just shop differently.
In regard to what you're saying, just if you, sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you off there.
No. That's all I was saying. It's just shop differently and grow differently. What were you going to say?
I was just going to add on to what you were saying. If you don't trust the government, even if you have questions about some of the things that they do, or some of the hypocrisy that you might see, and you're like, oh, that doesn't seem right. Well, it's not right. And
No.
and just start to think about your survival. One of the things that that I notice on a daily is people really don't have any survival skills. I
No.
was watching some people cross in front of me on the crosswalk, and they didn't even look up. I'm like, people, uh, I'm paying attention to you, but what if somebody doesn't pay attention to you? Anyway, it was on the news. People are like, oh my God, there's so many fatal accidents with people. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably because they're partially not paying attention. So you got to have some survival skills. And one of them is questioning stuff. So thank you so
Well,
much
and
for being here,
survival,
you and your
yeah,
doggy.
survival
Sorry,
skills. Oh, yeah, no problem. I was just going to say survival skills is not putting your hands up to the government and saying, save me, please save me.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Look for solutions.
Yeah.
Find solutions yourself.
Yeah.
What's the dog's name? What's your doggy's name?
Oh, in the background there, that's Cowboy. So
Cowboy.
he's my guard dog.
Because he was
He
definitely
protected
in
my
the
chicken.
show, so we have to give him some credit for being here. So
Yeah.
thanks,
Yeah.
Cowboy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, he's sleeping. He protected my chickens all summer, so he's my guard dog.
Dawn, thank you so much for being here. I'll say it again, but I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing your knowledge. And I know that you do this on a regular basis, so God bless you, and
Thank you.
and keep doing what you're doing. But if you don't mind sticking around for 30 seconds after, I just want to say goodbye to the audience. Yeah. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
sounds good. Thanks
God
for
bless you
having
guys
me.
all for being here. If you're still here watching Dawn and myself, make sure to share this out. Like I always say, get some more eyeballs on this information. We have got to wake up the sleepy people. So thank you very much for being here. Keep your head on a swivel. Let's stay sane together. And this is Bruce. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for watching Unscrew the News. I appreciate your participation in freedom in Canada. Share this information and help others to wake up. God bless.